Good morning. It's Pastor Lou here at the High Mountain Presbyterian Church, continuing my weekly series on Wednesday mornings to read through the Psalms. It's a very sad day today. The whole nation is grieving with and standing with in some small capacity, trying to help carry the burden of 19 children murdered, two loving teachers gone, both mothers, sisters, families in shock and chaos. I thought about just talking today. My mind goes to what I don't really consider to be the political debate, but goes to what I think would be a sign of conventional wisdom. We seem to lack wisdom around guns. When I was a teacher, we used to go to a state park, and the state park had a high cliff on it, and the state came in and constructed railings. They weren't impossible to climb, but they were railings, and they made it so that I, as a teacher, knew that my children that I supervised and had brought there in a bus would be safe. Safe from their foolish ideas, safe from maybe a maddening idea. There was a railing. We see them everywhere. We see all kinds of barricades and all kinds of obstacles on purpose. And I'll tell you, the part that troubles me most is that this 18-year-old boy went to a store and bought an AR assault rifle like he would buy a gallon of milk. He also bought massive amounts of weapons, and then he carried them home to do what he imagined he would do with them. I don't know. I fish in Canada, and before I can fish in Canada, I have to apply for an outdoor card. And the outdoor card gives me a background check that is done whether I'm going to fish or hunt or whatever, and then I get approved for the outdoor card, and then I apply for a fishing license. No license was required, no effort to demonstrate a capacity to handle the weapon. Freedom, this is freedom, right? Freedom to destroy himself, but in that also came an abandon of society's responsibility. I know the framers of the Constitution wrote a phrase about the right to bear arms. I'm not interested in that debate. Question is, would the framers have said the right to bear arms with no guardrails, no precautions, no protections for the rest of society? I don't believe it. I don't believe a single one of those framers would want or believe that they would want for us to live in the tyranny in which we live. I rent a boat when I go fishing. Before I can rent the boat, I have to pass a safety course. I have to show that I'm not interested in renting the boat to ram it into another boat. I must pass a rigorous written test on marine safety and how it's conducted. And then I pass the test, and then I get a stamp that says that I've passed a certain level of qualification to be able to do what a motorboat, powerboat, is a very powerful machine. Yes, I celebrate the freedom to be able to go boating, but I do it after I've been tested and society has asked, am I really capable of handling this weapon? The weapon of a boat or a car, a tractor trailer, a CDL license is required in order for you to drive up and down the road and make money. I do not understand. We leave the door to the nursery where our children are kept wide open when we hand an 18-year-old an an AR-style rifle, give him all the bullets he wants, and send him home. I don't know. I've been skipping around a little bit. I kind of got lost in my own book. I'm going to read from Psalm 36 today. I'm pretty sure we haven't done this one yet. And I don't know. The title given by the editors seemed appropriate. It's called A Meditation on Wickedness and Loving Kindness. Now, I want you to know that not knowing this 18-year-old boy in Texas, I don't know that he was wicked. I won't do that. I won't make that. But I think wickedness is the refusal to protect the innocent, to protect the vulnerable, for reasons that I don't think you and I ever will really know. Someone has their hands tied and is unwilling to even put up the smallest obstacle to a person being able to have the opportunity of doing what was done in Texas yesterday. But let's listen to the ancient words, a reflection on wickedness and loving kindness. Transgressions belong to the wicked person. It is in the midst of his heart. There is no fear of God before his eyes. He flatters himself too much in his own eyes to find his iniquity and to hate it. The words of his mouth are wickedness and deceitfulness. He has given up being wise and doing good. He devises wickedness upon his bed. He sets himself on a path that is not good. He does not reject what is wrong. O Lord, your loving kindness is in the heavens, and your faithfulness reaches to the clouds. Your righteousness is like the marvelous mountains, your judgment like the mighty deep. You deliver both man and beast, O Lord. How precious is your loving kindness, O God, that human beings can find refuge in the shadow of your wings. Human beings are refreshed from the rich provision of your house, and you make them drink from the water of your delights. For with you is the fountain of life. In your light we shall see light. Prolong your loving kindness to those who know you, and your righteousness to the upright of heart. May the foot of the proud not come against me, and the hand of the wicked not drive me away. The workers of wickedness were desolated. They fell down. They were thrown down and unable to rise up. Commentator says this: the description of the wicked person indicates that the source of his error was deep-seated in the mind. Having no fear of God, he effectively blinded himself with self-adoration, having then only himself to go by as a measure for morality. He's totally unable to either know or to hate his own iniquity. Having dispensed with the fear of God, which is the foundation of wisdom, he had become a moral cripple. In both speech and action, he was totally dedicated to wickedness. In bed at night, rather than reflecting on God's goodness, he devised new mischief for in the morning. Instead of choosing the good path, he deliberately chose the path that is not good, apparently not knowing that its end was destruction. Psalm 1, by the way, this is Psalm 36. Psalm 1 contrasts the way the wicked with that of the righteous person. Psalm 36 contrasts the way of the wicked with the loving kindness of God. The folly of the wicked person emerges not only from the error of his ways, but from the fact that God's loving kindness and deliverance are extended to human beings and beasts alike. Nothing precluded them from the goodness of God, except their own folly and self-induced blindness. It's no doubt the human blindness to sin which makes the psalm ultimately appropriate in a broader setting. When St. Paul quotes verse 2, "There is no fear of God before their eyes," he's demonstrating that in his catalog description of human injustice, that apart from the loving kindness of God, all human beings would fall within the category described in Psalm 32. But describing the justice which may come by faith, he's developing a new meaning which the gospel imparts to the loving kindness of God in the hymnic portion of the ancient psalm. There is a wickedness. There is a wickedness that is receiving some benefit. There is an unseen logic behind refusing to cut off entirely the sales of automatic weapons that can be used in a classroom to gun down 22 people before the cops could even have a chance to get in. There is something unseen. And the excuses that are given up don't make sense. They don't make sense. This cannot be pursued in a pathway to freedom. This is not about freedom. It's also not about obeying a constitutional requirement. It's not about any of that. I sense it's something else. It's people who've made plans. The man who sold this 18-year-old this rifle with the weapon, with the ammunition, never giving a thought, never giving a caution, never giving a word, never having to, seeing to it the laws saying, don't you dare put up any roadblock to this 18-year-old's birthday in getting an AR-style weapon. There is a wickedness. I don't know if it's profit. I don't know if it's profit from gun sales, which are very profitable. I don't know if it's political funding that comes from people who are worried that, they'll be victims of a government force that will come. I don't know. It's a wickedness. It's a wickedness that is born in the hearts of people to say there is nothing we can do about this. I'm just going to read it again. Transgression belongs to the wicked person. It is in the midst of their heart. There is no fear of God before their eyes. He flatters himself too much in his own eyes to find his iniquity and to hate it. These people that are part of the process of the highway that is paved with no barriers, the removal of all safety precautions, all background checks, no licenses, no training, nothing but putting into the hands of a young boy an assault rifle. You must be like this person. There is no fear of God before your eyes. They flatter themselves too much with their own eyes to find iniquity in what they're doing and to hate it. The words of his mouth are wickedness and deceitfulness, while justification is laid out. After justification, for why this is beyond human control. He's given up being wise and doing good. He devises wickedness upon his bed. He doesn't call it wickedness, of course. He sets himself on a path that is not good. He does not reject what is wrong. O Lord, your loving kindness is in the heavens, and your faithfulness reaches to the clouds. Your righteousness is like the marvelous mountains, your judgment like the mighty deep. You deliver both man and beast, O Lord. How precious is your loving kindness, O God, that human beings find refuge in the shadow of your wings. We are refreshed from the rich provisions of God's house, and you make us drink from the rivers of your delights. For with you is the fountain of life. In you, your light, we shall see light. Prolong your loving kindness to those who know you, and your righteousness to the upright of heart. May the foot of the proud not come against me, and the hand of the wicked not drive me away. The workers of wickedness, may they be desolated. May they fall down. May they be thrown down and unable to rise. An 18-year-old boy didn't do what he did on his own. He didn't do it on his own. He didn't make the weapon. He didn't make the ammunition. He didn't see to it that it was available at the gun shop down the street from him. He didn't see to it that every obstacle to him being able to use it and not having to be trained on it, he didn't do that. He didn't remove all the barriers. He didn't make it so that in a crazy moment of his life, he could have taken hundreds of people with him. He didn't do all that by himself. And anybody who thinks that he did is hiding from our own complicity in letting it happen again and again and again. He did not do this by himself. There is a whole network of justification, a whole network of legal arguments, of constitutional arguments, a whole network of all kinds of what sound like wise and deep and good life-prolonging networks and arguments, money. I think the psalmist has it right. It's an evil that is born in the heart, beyond the brain. He's just the instrument of it. God help us. God help us to find a way of accepting responsibility for our actions and our inactions, not putting the guardrail up over the cliff, of not deflecting, of not licensing, of not controlling, of not evaluating who would have the gun of a soldier in a village of civilians, of innocents. May the loving kindness of God pour out into our lives and protect us while we try to figure this out. That's all for today, my friends. My prayers, my heart, my prayers, they go because they need to go. My prayers go to the families, to the mothers and fathers, and the aunts and uncles, and grandmothers and grandfathers. Indeed, my thoughts and prayers go to the people in Texas.